And we just want to go over how to clean and sterilize it.
We need a new one.
So if you have questions, just stop me and let me know. So there's a bunch of sheets and bridges in here. So they should all be wiped down in the OR with either water or maybe some neutral balance cleanser. When they get back to you, they should get ready to go into a sink of neutral balance pH cleanser. I think the time, it should be submerged for 10 minutes. And then we need to flush and brush these pieces of equipment. So the one thing, a lot of these have valves on them. They have the stopcocks in here. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these. These need to be off when they're clean, and they actually also need to be off when they're sterilized.
Okay.
We're gonna put them in here, and they're gonna assemble them again in the OR.
Oh,
Okay? So, I don't know if you guys have taken these apart, so I figured I'd let you each try, if you wanna try and take one off. And they're easy to pop off and drop, so be careful, they roll everywhere.
So you said neutralizing, not enzymatic.
Enzymatic, it's a neutral balance pH cleanser, that's enzymatic.
So the red enzymatic for Steris is, I think, a higher pH.
Okay, they want it to be,
We have the neutral, the green.
okay,
So
then
the green,
it says neutral balance pH
yeah,
cleanser.
neutral green soap we'll use on these.
somebody else want to try it?
Yeah, you wanna try and,
I'm gonna stay right
Yeah, I'll
here.
make
'cause
it
I'm
yeah, cause
gonna-
it'll roll.
Because
Yeah.
also, you guys, this is a
Yeah.
10-minute soak, so this is a little bit different than our 1 to 5 minute soak.
Okay.
10 minutes.
So yeah, then you would, once you take that off, you'd brush out the inside, obviously, there
And
and
then
flush
leave
it.
it off.
And leave it off, just go ahead and screw you can screw it back
put
on,
it in
Kevin,
here.
and put it in here. So there's, I don't know how many
So
are on
even
this
when
set.
when it goes through the water,
So-
you put it in there so it doesn't leak.
Looks like there's
It's
four of those. There's four that you have to take them off. So again, and when these are, after they're submerged and you take those off, you make sure that your enzymatic solution's down inside there, and then we would flush it and brush everything and make sure it's all clean, okay? So that's those pieces. Here's this an operator, same thing, just brush, make sure it's clean. This is probably one of the most important fragile pieces in here. This is the resectoscope itself. So, same thing, brush it, flush it, make sure we get all the debris out of there. Make sure it moves smoothly. There's also a button here that's gonna let the electrode out and in, so make sure it just pushes down and is working properly.
If not, can you milk it?
Yeah, so once we're done and we take everything out of the sink, we're gonna milk everything, but I was gonna leave that for a minute here. So make sure you brush that very well. And the cord itself, that also goes right in the enzymatic solution. Wipe it down with a lint-free cloth, and they recommend that this cord be used for 20 uses. So I'm not sure how many cases you're gonna do a day or a week, but if you're
So
using it,
20 uses. Okay, I'll try to put that in somehow.
if you're using it every day, that's once a
Yeah.
month. If you're using it, obviously.
So can the cord be submerged in water?
That was,
It's
yeah.
submerged in water, submerged in the.
Can it go through the washer?
None of this should go through a washer.
The whole thing, should
The
it?
whole thing should
So
go
this is
through
a
a
hand wash.
So the
Okay.
whole thing is hand wash.
The only thing that can go through a washer are the scopes, but you have to have a special tray for that. Because
Okay.
if you don't, it'll break the scope.
So hand wash.
So
the
hand
whole
wash
thing.
everything.
Okay, I'll put up a step-by-step view for that on the back sink.
Okay.
So we brush and flush everything, and then we're gonna say the scopes for last. Once it comes out of the solution, we put it into a rinse, clean rinse. We wipe it down, we flush it with the clean water. 3 rinses, drain the sink, fill it back up 3 times. Everything's 3 times to get all that enzymatic solution off of there. After we're done, we'll dry it with a lint-free cloth, and then we want to milk what moves. So like here, you milk the jaws here, just put some milk on the jaws, put some milk on the handle in here and here to make sure it works smoothly. Also, we milk here where it slides back and forth. Milk up at this button here. So a bunch of, I think that's all you can milk here. So just make sure it's, test it with your hand, make sure it's working properly. If it's not, keep milking until it moves smoothly.
Okay, another question for
Sure.
you, I'm sorry.
No.
Do they use disposables in any of these items that can get left behind? Because in one of our button trays, it's a disposable item that get left inside of them.
Yeah.
I don't believe so, although I'm never in the OR. That's my sales guy, Tom, who couldn't be here today. He would probably, I'll ask him that question, but I don't believe there's any disposables that come down with this. I think it'd be good. So once it you flush it, or you rinse it 3 times, you dry it off with a lint-free cloth, and then you kind of inspect each piece then after that. You're looking for any dents, you know, or if you obviously see a bend in it, if there's a small dent, you probably get away with it. Larger dents, though, it can, you know, there can bioburden collect in there, and it just doesn't get sterile. So you want to make sure there's a dent in there, put it aside, and we get that dent taken out or replaced. Same with this. If this shaft gets bent, and this one here, the scope goes down there. If it's bent and they're trying to jam that scope in there, you're going to break that scope. So, you know, this being defective, it could cost you $1,000 to fix the scope. So, just make sure it's all straight, not kinked. You'll be able to feel down and feel if there's any dents. If there is, set it aside and we get that replaced or repaired. Okay, and then finally we have the scopes. So, these are very fragile, and I would do these in a sink by themselves. I wouldn't do it with these. I would keep it separate. You have 3 in here, so the black, if you see the black ring, that means, I don't know if you need to know this, but that means it's a 12-degree angle. The red means it's a 30-degree angle, and the yellow means it's a 70-degree angle. So just, if they say, hey, I need a 70-degree scope, you can look and say, oh, that's yellow, that's 70. So you'll know from not having to look at the part number, you can just use the color code. So these, same thing, they go in the neutral balance cleanser. You wipe down, they can get brushed, but don't brush the distal tip. Use a lint-free cloth on that. And same with the light post. Also, these are already off. They're in here. Those come off to clean. There's adapters for different light cords. Different light sources need different adapters. There's a Storz, there's a Striker, there's different kinds. So I think they are also, they're already in there. No, they're not in there. I don't know where they're at actually. There should have been 2 that came on there. I'm not sure where they put them.
Oh, okay.
But, or maybe the type of light source you have just plugs right on here and they don't need them.
It may be that, because these are, we have a lot of these, and we have these tips on them.
Oh, okay, that's someone else's. Okay, good, that's fine. Yeah, so those are also off. Anything that can be removed stays off. So, in the neutral cleanser, wipe it down. When it goes into the water, we rinse it 3 times. New cloth, wipe it down, wipe the distal end down, and wipe the light post down. And once it gets out and dried, we want to take a look down the scope, and you'll see a nice clear circle. If it's got broken glass, if it got crushed or whatever, there's tubes of glass in there. If they get cracked in half, it's almost like looking through. If you've had a chip on your car window, it makes that black circle. You're looking through that, so it'll be a dark, horrible image. So if you look down and you can't, you know, look at something on a table and see the writing, if it's really cloudy, you know it's broken, and set that aside. Last thing you want to do with a rigid scope too is take an alcohol prep pad or 4-by with alcohol in there, wipe the glass there. Because if water stays on there and it goes in the autoclave and dries, it'll drive a water spot on there, and water spots have, you know, some debris in there, there's different calcium and stuff can be on there, and it'll leave a fuzzy residue on the lens. So make sure it's dry before we go in the autoclave. And that was kind of quick. I don't know if you know, if you have any questions, but it's really not that difficult. You probably do the same stuff every day with all the other equipment. But the scope too, very fragile, so just make sure you don't, if you put this on a table and you put something on it, that could crack the glass. If you carry it by this end and you fling around, that could crack the glass. So always make sure you carry it by the eyepiece. And just be careful. When you put it in out of the tray, support both sides and you push it in. Don't just pull one out, because something that simple could break a piece of glass in there.
Will this tube stay on there?
Just what's that?
Will the tubing stay on there? That tube that's in there?
On the metal piece, would this tube stay on that metal piece?
Oh, I believe so. Yeah, I think I'll check on that, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it does.
Okay, perfect.
Questions? Any other questions? You guys feel comfortable with the stopcocks?
Yeah.
Again, with gloves on, it's hard to do, and they will hit the floor and roll. You'll never see them again, so just make sure you're over a table where you can see where they fall.
And then I'll create like a step-by-step how I do with the flexible scopes for this. Since it is neutral, which we're not used to, it's a hand wash. So,
And you can use the ultrasonic on certain pieces of equipment in here. Now there's this item here, this is a ceramic tip, and that's the way we thought about this. You should feel that, make sure it's not cracked. If it's cracked, it'll be really sharp. It could fall apart and hurt the patient. So just make sure it's nice and smooth, and this cannot go in an ultrasonic because it will crack that ceramic bead on there. So everything else can, if you have a hard time cleaning it, you can throw it in a ceramic or in an ultrasonic to get it clean.
okay.
That's pretty much it.
I think.